The bench, my guest, Chairman of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, Bishop Dr. David Oginde, has come from the pulpit to the crown. And that's where we're asking the first question. Dr. Welcome, first of all, to the bench.
Thank you.
Karibu sana, Chairman.
Asante.
How has the transition been from the pulpit to the crown?
A very interesting transition, I must say. Because the place where I have been as bishop, as pastor in church and other Christian organizations, things are a bit more predictable. Where I am today is like there are many balls in the air, and you're never sure which one to catch and which one will drop, and you're kept busy, because Kenyans are busy. So it has been an interesting transition, I must say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, while you were on the pulpit, when it came to people who were wrongdoers,
yes,
you forgave them in general. That was your job. Forgive them as Christians. Here, you know the wrongdoers, but there's no forgive. I mean, how do you forgive?
Forgiveness, even in church, is not blanket. Otherwise, all of us would end up in heaven. Yeah, it is not.
Yeah.
It is for those people who recognize their wrongdoing and come forward and say, I'm sorry for the wrong that I did. And that applies even to where I am today. If somebody comes forward and accepts that they have done wrong, we will see what to do with them. Unfortunately, most of the people, almost all the people we are pursuing, always deny that they ever did anything. And that applies whether in church or out in government, in public. Yeah. If you deny that which you're suspected to have done, then we have to follow due process. And that's how some people, even in church, will end up in hell, because they refuse to accept that they have done wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like what you said. They will end up in hell.
Yes, they will.
No matter how much they attend church.
Exactly.
Or ask for forgiveness.
Exactly.
Tell me something. Has it been a tough, obviously it must be a tough transition for you to deal with these, to deal, and the people who deny, and the evidence is out there, it's open. Does that feel that your hands are tied for the most part?
I don't feel tied hands. I would say it feels frustrating. Think of a child that you have caught red-handed with the cheese from the fridge, and they are saying, it's not me. I didn't do it. You feel frustrated because you wish they would just say, I'm sorry, I was hungry and I got into the fridge and I took this. Then you know what to do. But when a child denies that they ever knew, especially if you have not caught them red-handed, and yet there is every evidence that they are the ones who did it, it is a frustrating experience, at least for me as a parent. And that is what I go through almost every day, where you see people who every indication is that they have done wrong. But they're the same people who are standing on public platforms, and making all kinds of noises about the wrongdoing that is being done in the country, and why EACC, I was in a meeting of senior leaders in government, and this leader points at me and says, EACC, you need to do something. Bishop, you need to do something about corruption in this country. That's why we gave you the mandate. At that time, I have a file on this person.
The person telling you?
Exactly. So I'm feeling like I would stand and say, we'll start with you. You know? It's very frustrating. That's what I'm saying. It is very frustrating, yeah. But in the first, let me say, 3 or so weeks, it was so frustrating that I wondered what I'm doing here. But with time, I've realized that this is something that we cannot give up on. We must fight it to the very end.
Did you take up more than you could chew, you think?
I I don't think that it is more than I can chew. It is just that I didn't know there was so much bone in the meat. So trying to find my way around it, yeah. But we are not going to give up, because the nearer the bone, the sweeter the meat. Yes. So I am not about to give up simply because of the magnitude of the work, the frustration that comes with it, because if we do give up, that these people will run this country down.
But listen, Bishop, a lot of people say this, and I've heard this oftentimes when it comes to EACC, that you all are a toothless bulldog. You don't have prosecutorial powers. Would you want that to give you a bigger, better mandate?
The people who say that are people who have not been caught by our arms. Those who have been caught, they speak otherwise. They say, I'm being targeted. We are being targeted. Why are we? If it was a toothless bulldog, then why are you crying when you are caught? So the people who say that are those people who are observers on the outside. You know, like in any game, people who are on this outside, they know how the game could have been played. And I sat there before. So I don't quite blame them. But we are doing the work that we have been given. And I believe we are making good progress. The task that we have is enormous. And so even though you do quite a bit, and we are doing quite a bit, it feels like a drop in the ocean.
Right.
Because it is so pervasive. Corruption in this country is so pervasive. It is everywhere. So when you catch 5, 6, 20 people, it sounds like, what's that? I mean, so-and-so, what about so-and-so, what about so-and-so? Because it is everywhere. So what it requires is for us as Kenyans to unite our forces so that it is not EACC that is struggling, as it were, with this mandate, but that all of us are united against corruption. In fact, this Saturday, on the 9th, we are going to be observing the International Anti-Corruption Day. And our theme is on unity against corruption. And this is a global theme, not just a Kenyan theme. Yeah. And I think it is a very important theme because we are not going to win this war if it is left to one person, if it is left to one agency. It's going to require all of us to put our efforts together, do the little that you can, using the platform that you have as Jeff Koinange. Do what you can to call out men and women who are committed to stealing from our country. A teacher in class, let them help the students to realize that ethical behavior, integrity eventually pays rather than shortcuts, so that they don't get stuck right at school, cheating in exams, stealing other people's property and so on, because that's how it all begins. If that teacher takes time to help these children to live a life of integrity, we are in the long run going to win this war.
Chairman, I'm glad you mentioned teachers and exams. KCPE, classic case in point. Corruption in KCPE. Come on, where are we heading? How low have we sunk?
That's what we are talking about. So you see, this thing is so deep-rooted. It is so pervasive. And that's why I was saying that it cannot be one agency, EACC, winning this war. It is Kenyans coming together saying we are tired of corruption. We are not going to tolerate corruption in whichever circle I find myself. Because this thing is in our neighborhoods, this thing in our schools, it is on the roads, it is in every place you go. So if we get tired as Kenyans and say, we are not going to tolerate this, call people out. The head teacher who is asking you for money to admit your child, call them out. Refuse to give, and so on and so forth. People who are asking to pay this so that you get a job, call them out. If we do this collectively, this war will be won sooner than later. But if we leave it to EACC, we are doing the very best that we can within the capacities that we have. And I believe we are doing, we are making good progress in that fight. But we alone cannot win this war. Yeah.
The biggest criticism against the EACC chairman is the fact that no big fish are ever arrested. Like, for instance, the other day, traffic policemen being arrested by EACC. Come on. Someone who takes, what, 50 shillings bribe? Those are the ones you're going to arrest? And the person who takes 50 million shillings is let go?
My friend, I think it's because perhaps EACC does not communicate as well as we perhaps should. You see, when you arrest police, police are on the road. They're in the public domain. So when we go for them, it is a public drama, a public affair. And so it attracts media attention. It is reported in the media. When we are investigating big corruption, there is no drama. It happens very quietly. Right now, in the last 3 months, we have completed investigations and forwarded to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution 43 files that we are recommending for prosecution. These are big files. These are big people. But because there's no drama around it, we don't seem to know that actually happens. And I can share with you some of those cases.
Yes, please.
They involve billions of shillings. You know, we just completed the Katrako case, billions of shillings in the Turkana windmill project. We completed the Museum of Kenya case, where they embezzled 490 million shillings. We have just completed the Helios, if you remember, yes, the Telcom case, 6 billion shillings. And I can give you more and more, a total of 43 cases. The Finland case, we have just forwarded it. The one of Washington.
Issue scholarships.
Yes, scholarship, yes. Ronald Ngala, Utalii College in Kilifi, 18 billion shillings. Siaya County government, 400 million shillings. Fire engine truck in Marsabit, 69 million shillings. NYS pending bills, 6 billion shillings. Garissa, an irregular tender award, 100 million shillings. Marsabit, Turkana, 100 million shillings. Kitui County, COVID funds, 420 million shillings. These are cases we have finalized in the last 3 months. And this is just a sample. There are a total of 43 cases.
And you've handed them over to
We have handed over to the office of... Yes.
What happens then? It's up to them.
It is for them to take it from there. And if they agree with our investigation and agree with our evidence, then forward these people to the courts, to the judiciary. So we will meet them there when our people now go to present the evidence.
Chairman, they say when a tree falls in a forest,
yes,
and you don't hear it,
yes,
it hasn't really fallen.
That's what I said.
Yes,
because some of these, like now, you are in the media, you did not know that these things are happening because there was no sound of the falling tree. But we are saying here that that's why I was telling you that I am confident that this war is going to be won. If you look at our previous quarter, that is the period between March and June, it is a similar list. Now, of course, as you know, we have had a transition in the office of the DPP, so that slowed down things a bit for a period of time because there was no DPP in place. But since then, one has been appointed. And so we are trusting that in the next few weeks, months, some of these cases are going to find them their way into the courts. So hopefully there will be some sound of a falling tree.
Loud sound.
Loud sound.
But Chairman, tell me something. What is your relationship, EACC's relationship with ODPP, DCI, National Police Service? What's the relationship like?
We are all agencies that are trying to make this country a more, a better place to live in. The DCI, Directorate of Criminal Investigation, their task is to investigate any act of crime, every act of crime. So that is their work to do, to investigate and then recommend for prosecution. Their cases also end up at the ODPP.
Right.
EACC has the specific mandate to, when it comes to crime, is economic crimes, bribery, fraud that involves government officials. We only deal with issues that deal with, where a government official is involved. So if an ordinary public, a member of the public defrauds you or does something, economic crime against you, you will not come to us. You'll go to DCI. That's where it will be dealt with.
Right.
When it comes to the police, of course, the police are law enforcers. So all of us will need them to enforce the law. So if we are going to arrest someone, it's police officers who will go with us. If DCI is doing it, it's the same. So when you hear EACC has arrested, we have police officers who help us in that process. Which was the other group you asked? So
that's
yes.
Police, DCI, yourselves?
Yes.
And ODPP?
Yes. So ODPP has the responsibility of prosecuting cases. In other words, presenting any criminal cases to court and arguing those cases on behalf of the people of Kenya, so that the judges then are convinced that indeed there was a criminal act, and then if they find them, there's a conviction.
What's to stop those 43 files of yours from disappearing, as they always do in this country?
I wouldn't say always. I would say as they sometimes do. No, it's very unlikely that a case that we have investigated and forwarded to the ODPP, the file would disappear, because there's a very clear process that those files follow. So it's very unlikely that those files would just disappear into thin air.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. I think the most that could happen is for a file to be delayed if there was a wrong person handling a particular file. That could happen. But so far, the working relationship is such that the files that we send to the ODPP, they evaluate the evidence that we have presented because they want to understand the case. Remember, they are the ones who are going to stand before court and try to convince the court that this person actually did what they are alleged to have done. So they need to understand that case clearly, be convinced themselves that the evidence we have given and that indeed there was an offense that was committed and it is worthy of prosecution. So once they do, if they find, for example, that they need more evidence or they need more information, they would generally send us a letter or a memo to say we need more information in this area, or we need more evidence in this area, or sometimes at the very worst say that this case may not stand before a court of justice. Yeah. So in which case they would recommend that the file not be forwarded.
Chairman, it seems like there's always a scandal a week in this country. Like literally.
Perhaps a day.
Thank you. A scandal a day. Right? Edible oils.
Yes.
Which was deemed unfit for public consumption is now okay for public consumption.
Yes.
I mean, come on. Who's fooling who here? And then there's the control of budget. Abducted, literally. Abducted from Nairobi all the way to Mombasa. And then we find out there's a lady who has like 8 jobs, which means 8 salaries. What kind of banana republic are we living in?
Now you begin to, you see now those are only 3 or 4
Those are only 3 or 4.
that you have had. But for me, I hear them, that's why I say every day.
Chairman,
and they come in their 70s, 100s.
We need a break because I'm so tired of this. I'm starting to sweat just thinking of all of this. You must have a tough job. Do you miss the church?
I think church is good, but somebody has to be here also.
Somebody has to be here?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. The chairman of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, Bishop Dr. David Oginde, says, someone's got to do this job. It's a rough job. Someone's got to do it. But I always say, be careful what you wish for, because you will get it.
Yeah.
Let's take a break. Come back. Plenty more ahead. You're watching Jeff Koinange Live. Keep tweeting at Koinange Jeff, at Citizen TV Kenya, the hashtag JKLIVE. JKLIVE takes a break. We'll be back in a moment.